He's back, baby! That's right. Well, maybe. I don't know. Boba Fett might be back. We're not sure. Welcome to TRB, everybody. We are the Resistance Broadcast, the official podcast of StarWarsNewsNet.com. I'm John. Thanks for joining us today. Monday, Star Wars news is what we talk about. We give our takes on all the latest news of the past week in Star Wars. James and Lazy.
Whoa, Freudian.
No, it's not.
I am the farthest from lazy, like literally.
No, that's my
overachiever, crazy person.
James and Lacey with me as always.
So
that's
mean.
what happened there. That was the first time I screwed up your name in like 5,000 shows. So just
there was one show you called me Elisa, remember?
Well, now you're bringing that back up, so now it's a problem. Big problem. So
I'm just saying, it's happened before.
So we had, we'll get into the Boba Fett thing later, but because who knows, right? I mean, we're getting close anyway. It's October in a few days, so it's almost Mando month. But this past Friday, we had our Make Solo 2 Happen pseudo event via the Solo Watch Party. And we want to thank everybody who joined us on our live stream commentary in the live chat. A lot of people commenting, talking about the movie, interacting with us, getting their comments read on our commentary, which is now preserved on the channel, and also the audio version on the Patreon page. So it was a fun time. Solo, again, it again reinforms and reinvigorates my love for that movie, because it's one of those positive things, and it's just a feel good thing. So I'm glad we did it. Glad we did. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I hope everyone got their pin. Makes Solo 2 Happen pin.
Oh, yeah.
And entered our contest, which is currently going on.
Yes. So the contest is with jewelry brands at jewelrybrands.shop. We have a retweet contest that is going on right now, and you could win Han's dice. I don't know if I have one here, but Han's dice on a keychain, which, what's better than that? Han had to hang his on the mirror. You get to hang yours right from your keychain.
Really
so you
cool.
have to retweet that. And if you realized what the quote was from the image, good for you. That means you're a diehard Solo fan. And then, Lacey, what's the Instagram version? What do they have to do for that?
Instagram is follow us, follow jewelry brands, and comment with a specific direction. Now, last time, I accidentally messed up the directions and then changed them, but I promise they're right this time.
Okay. When do we want to announce the winners on that? Next Monday?
Yeah, next Monday, yep.
Okay, so next Monday we'll announce the winners for that, and then we'll obviously in October get another one going, and
it's going to be a good one.
If you can guess the theme based on what's going on in Star Wars, maybe you have an idea what the giveaway might be. But
Palpatine.
He's back. He's returned.
The official announcement of Solo 2.
Right. The official announcement of Star Wars
Jabba
Episode 10, Palpatine re-returns. No, but we want to thank Jewelry Brands. We've had a great relationship with them, and every time I go to their site, I find something new that I would not have imagined. When you think of jewelry, especially a lot of like hardened guys out there, like, oh, it's jewelry, it's just for girls and stuff. Jewelry Brands has awesome stuff. Like,
yes.
A lot of their stuff, they've got more guys and girl stuff. They got like cufflinks and money clips and stuff like that. Yeah, perfect for
especially
gifts.
because guys can wear necklaces and earrings and
yes.
I think the necklaces I got from them actually are guy ones, because they have the thicker chain, which is usually the sign of like it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
Millennium Falcon and Kylo Ren helmet is super cool.
Yeah, the stuff they have is really cool, and I didn't even know until we kind of began a relationship with them that they have like light up stuff and all these crazy accessories. So very cool. Jewelrybrands.shop.
10% off.
Yeah, if you want 10% off, go at checkout. Again, jewelrybrands.shop. Use TRB at checkout and get 10% off. So there you go.
Steal.
But so we're going to get into the news now. James is going to take us through the latest stories happening in our favorite space opera franchise. James, what's going on this week?
It's the Resistance.
disaster, peril.
Oh,
What's the Jeff Goldblum one that he says?
I don't know. John's the quote guy.
Yeah, no, John, you had it like right away.
Oh, crestfallen?
It starts with a C. Crestfallen. That's it. I'm crestfallen.
Oh no, it's never good to be crestfallen.
The Cassian Andor series is doomed.
Oh.
The showrunner Tony Gilroy has handed off the directing duties to Toby Haynes. And John, this obviously is big bad news, right? And has nothing to do with just simple, connection between two countries, right?
Yeah, you know what's funny about this is when we were reporting on it, I was like, how we got to make sure we make the headline, at least from our site, not seem like this guy's leaving and this guy's taking over and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So we positioned it as the showrunner, Tony Gilroy, and I made sure we left showrunner in there so people understand that he's still running the show, literally. Yeah. Hands off the directing duties to Toby Haynes. And I, to be fair, I haven't seen a lot of clickbait videos or clickbait articles saying that it's a disaster or anything yet. So maybe like the people getting out in front of it, like saying like this isn't a big deal, kind of squashed those people from being able to write about it. Like I could just picture people hearing about it and like, I gotta run down to the cellar and make my video and hate on Star Wars and stuff. And then they find out, I can't do this video now. Damn. So bummed out. I gotta go look for something else. Yeah.
So let's explain it. What exactly is going on with the situation?
So Tony Gilroy, who's famous for coming in and really saving the day on Rogue One with the rewrites, reshoots. Gareth Edwards played ball. Basically Tony Gilroy, Gareth Edwards would have been like a Lord Miller if he didn't like what they decided, which is having this other guy come in and do all this stuff. But he played ball. Smart move. People see his name next to Rogue One and they love Rogue One. Like, that guy directed Rogue One. Perfect. So they bring this guy back. He wasn't originally involved with the Cassian Andor series, but they're like, you did such a good job with Rogue One. This is a spin-off of Rogue One. Can you come back? We're rewriting the pilot, rewrite the show. Can you show run this, direct the first few episodes, get this thing off the ground on solid footing? The way we saw Rogue One, the final product. He's like, I'm in. So you fast forward and they're about to start production. They were supposed to start production a while ago, but the rewrites, the COVID, Either way, that's all done. They're going to start early next year in production. He's supposed to be directing the first couple episodes. Travel issues. I believe he lives in New York. They're filming in UK. He's an older guy. There's a lot of restrictions. It's actually very difficult now to fly over there. There's a lot of issues going on still with this pandemic that people are like not even realizing. People are just looking at the bubble of the disease itself and not everything else that's impacted because no one's traveling. No one realizes how insane it is to travel, especially internationally. So he's like, I'm still going to run the show. I still wrote the episodes. I'm still executive producer. I don't need to direct these episodes. So let's bring in the guy who was going to be directing some of the episodes anyway. This isn't a new guy they're bringing in. This Toby Haynes guy was going to be directing 2 or 3 of the episodes later in the season. They're having him just move up and direct the first few. So it's really not a big deal. But because of, I think it's a big deal because of the track record of Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, my best way to put it in perspective for fans out there, especially diehard Star Wars fans, because casual fans are going to have no idea about this story. They're not even going to care. Some of them probably don't even know there's a Cassian Andor series. But think about The Sopranos. Tell me who directed the episodes of season 1 of The Sopranos. Go ahead. I'll wait. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea, and it's one of the greatest TV shows of all time. You see what I'm saying? So this really is just only if you're really dialed into Star Wars and the production issues of Star Wars is this a story. And even then, it's really not that big of a story. But we wanted to talk about it here to kind of put it in perspective, I think. Yeah.
And Lacey, I mean, I'd love to have things to say about this, but this story is kind of like not like an opinion piece. I mean, I don't know. Do you have anything to add to this?
I have a lot of opinions about international travel.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a story in the sense of, yay, things are moving along and decisions are being made to get this into production. But other than that, it's kind of a, like you said, a non-story in the sense of the bigger picture, because it's like, okay, this is a logical step because of the current situation.
Yeah, it's so weird to me because it feels like a story that is kind of like it's technically going to affect the end, but not really. So it's kind of like one of those things like, hey, we just wanted to tell everybody we're going to hold off shooting this scene for 3 days because someone, has to go to like a funeral or something. But anyway, it's still coming out at the same time. Nothing's really going to be changed. Right. Just there was kind of a situational change. We're going to let everybody know because if somebody found out otherwise, it might cause like some sort of drama or something like that. But it straight up is just like it has to do with like a travel ban and other, other things like that.
Why are they even writing about this? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like,
Toby is great.
You think we have to do a press release on this or whatever?
I mean, he's a good director. He's done a lot of BBC stuff naturally because he's in the UK. Like Doctor Who, he did Sherlock. One of the best episodes of Sherlock, actually, with one of the most memorable scenes. So he's gonna do great.
Yeah, and
I famously do not like Black Mirror, but I saw which episode this guy did of Black Mirror, and I was like, oh, that's like the Star Trek one that they advertise all the time. So maybe I'll check this out. I didn't make it all the way through, but I was like, yeah, this is probably the best episode I've seen of Black Mirror out of like 3. So
I watched the first one, and that was enough.
Very little credit.
Nope.
I know he did that Doctor Who show about that doctor or whatever.
That doctor that's a doctor.
I watched Sherlock and I looked back to see which episode he did of Sherlock, and it was like one of the best. It was like a 9.7 out of 10 like rated episode.
Yeah.
I remember that episode now.
Episode.
Yeah. And I'm just looking out.
My favorite is The Other Woman. Or The Woman.
Yeah, I like that one too.
This one was good too.
I am one of the biggest Seinfeld fans that I know. Maybe one of the biggest of all time, probably. I have no idea who directed Seinfeld. So I just looked it up.
Hey, John,
I'm a big Office fan, and I find out all the time that random people do Office episodes.
Tom Sharones is like, he directed almost every episode of Seinfeld for the first 4 seasons, and I couldn't have, gun to my head, I couldn't have told you. So it just puts it in perspective,
John, do you know this reference? Hello, Newman.
Newman? Oh, Paul Newman's Own, like the salad dressing, the actor?
Yeah, actually, this is kind of a deep cut here, but he has a neighbor who's like a mailman or something.
Oh, the mailman.
And he comes to his house, and they like don't get along.
Right.
And so when he answers the door, he's like, "Hello, Newman."
Oh, and he says, "Hello."
Are you being sarcastic right now? You have to be being sarcastic right now.
Yeah. Let me try another one. No soup for you. Have you heard that one?
Well, let's giddy up to the next story, I guess.
All right. Giancarlo Esposito was recently talking to People magazine, and he kind of, I don't know if this was like a let slip, but he was kind of inferring to the idea that there are going to be multiple seasons of The Mandalorian, including a 3rd season and a 4th season. I could get into the quotes, but it really just has to do with more along the lines of like, I could see this show really opening up around 3 or season 4, something along those lines. Lacey, this story actually can have something to talk about. What do you think? Do you think this was a slip up, or do you think he's just like talking? What's up?
I think he's been doing so many interviews that he's losing track of what he's saying / trying to find something to add to each interview so that person has something to write about, because when you're doing 8 interviews, you're like, oh yeah, no, I really worked this lightsaber and broke 8 of them, and the person's like, oh, that's what I'm gonna run with. He broke 8 lightsabers. Then the next one's like, oh, he came into a situation with Baby Yoda, and he's like, oh, that's what I'm gonna. So this guy was just like, he's like, well, we don't really answer anything, but it's building, and it could answer those questions in 3 or 4 seasons. And the person's like, oh, let me run with that. 3 or 4 seasons. I think that it might have been a little bit of a slip. I don't think it's even the way he phrases it. He could argue that it wasn't a definite thing, but I think it makes sense that The Mandalorian would be 3 or 4 seasons. Like, because if you're looking at the story itself, because there are only 8 episodes so far per season, they're really getting into the nitty gritty of a lot of these character stories. So they need 4 seasons to really explain the whole narrative of what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I want 4 seasons of The Mandalorian. I'd take 8 seasons of The Mandalorian if it's a good story. So yeah, keep doing interviews, Giancarlo, because keep giving us info.
Yeah, I mean, all these interviews are interviews for the show, but they're always interviews for yourself as well.
Right.
In the sense that, like, he knows if he says, yes, my character kills Baby Yoda in this season, then that story is going to be like, Giancarlo Esposito says, and then Giancarlo Esposito says, and it's all the headlines, and like, his name is everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I just said it 3 times as an example of how it works. Mm-hmm. John, what did you think of this interview with him?
I mean, I like this guy. I think he brings a lot of just like a chill vibe to the Star Wars preciousness. Like, it's who cares that he's like, yeah, in seasons 3 and 4, like people, oh my God, they're making more seasons. Like, it's like if this interview was taking place,
the noise you just made.
I don't know. 3 seasons 3 and 4.
Like a Muppet.
Yeah.
But if this interview was like 2006 about him talking about like, yeah, and then in seasons 3 and 4, and he's talking about like Breaking Bad, people are like, oh, cool, can't wait, that's gonna be cool. But it's into Star Wars, like, oh man, my God.
Like every time.
So I think it's just the Star Wars bubble again. That's the theme, I guess, for me on the podcast today, is that perspective of other shows, right? So. But and people are like, well, does this mean he's around for season 3 and 4? I don't think that means that at all. I think
John, this isn't a joke. This is my life.
I think this is just him kind of just talking about the narrative flow of things, and him respecting Jon Favreau and knowing that he likes to play the long game and that sort of thing. And also from just the logical perspective with Favreau, like most TV shows, as I understand it, get like a 2-season deal if it's like a what they think is going to be a sure thing. I know Netflix does that a lot, the 2-season deal.
Yeah, they do. The 2-season thing.
I don't know.
Which is why it's surprising that they canceled Dark Crystal, because they usually do at least 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could see that getting picked up by Disney or something, but
yeah.
I don't know what Favreau's deal was with The Mandalorian or anything like that. It's very possible they just gave him a blank slate and were like, you keep making the show as long as you want after season 1. So, season 1's probably the test, but out of the gate, who knows? Maybe it was like a limited contract on 2, and maybe 3 and 4 is where he can really cash in the big bucks and say, I gave you guys a gold mine. Now I can really make my money off you guys with this show. So I could see Favreau definitely doing that. And this show is going to go on as long as Jon Favreau wants it to go along. I don't think it's going to be a situation where he leaves and someone else takes over. He's going to ride this thing to the end. It's going to be his show, his complete story to tell. We've seen a lot of TV shows, especially more in the sitcom realm, where the writers and the creators and stuff move on to other projects and other people come in, and the shows suffer from that. I mean, that happens. But I think with Favreau, this is going to be a deal where he's in it from beginning to end, and Giancarlo is probably just kind of affirming that for us. And, I hope... we'll talk about this on Thursday, spoiler alert, but I hope this guy sticks around for multiple seasons, because I think he's a wonderful actor. I like the freshness of his character. I hope it's not one of those deals where they're just like, we've got to axe him and then bring in that real big bad like we talked about on the podcast last week. So
yeah,
I don't know. There's some freshness to his interviews, like they feel light. He gives us information and he positions it in a way where it's not a big deal, and I like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, I mean, kind of piggybacking off of what I said earlier, I know how it works in the movie industry. I know how it works in the music industry, and I don't know that it works this way in TV, but I would imagine that when they signed this guy and probably a bunch of these people, they signed him for multiple seasons of the show. Just so that they have the rights to say, hey, we need your character back in season 3 or season 4 or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if his contract set is signed for 4 seasons, so that he maybe has that in his head. Mm-hmm. And just like what I was saying before, is like all of these interviews are interviews for them as well. He knows that when he says, the show really has a potential to get good in that 3rd or 4th season, if they do it, it's kind of a way to rally people behind the idea of continuing the show and specifically his character into season 3 and season 4. It's like a negotiation, like a public negotiation when he's saying this in the interview, because of course we're doing this podcast here and we're saying, I hope his character lasts to season 3 and season 4. And then people start to like get that in their head that's how it goes, you know? So, I can't say that they will do 3 or 4 seasons, but I would imagine that contractually somewhere it's probably like Jon Favreau even probably signed I get this much money in the first season, I get this much money in the second, I get this much money in the third and fourth. He already has a lot of creative control, but I imagine as the show grows on, he wants those first and second seasons to be big so that he can really cash out on the third and fourth seasons later down the line. So all of this starts to make a lot of sense, and why he would say a third and fourth season, not to mention those are just the 2 numbers that come after what's been confirmed.
Right?
They've announced.
Favreau said
he said he's working.
He's writing it. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
But there's no official announcement that the third season is coming. No.
Yeah.
That the third season is coming. There's no official announcement.
Oh well, he said he was working on it though.
Yeah, I can work on a script for a movie, but it's not happening.
It's happening, but they haven't tweeted it yet.
Sure.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I'm just saying there's nothing official on the third season yet.
I wonder if and maybe it's a case-to-case basis, but because a lot of these interviews are done where these people are in their comfort of their own homes, if their guards are down a little more than if they were under lights at a set and they had to go to Good Morning America, and they're like getting prepped and they're getting the makeup, and like he's sitting with his coffee and he's probably just a little more relaxed, and maybe a couple things come out that maybe usually don't. I'm not well versed in him and his promotion of shows. I've just seen his work, so I don't know if there's a track record of him kind of spilling beans or not. We know that some people in Star Wars have done that, where they're like, "Oops, I shouldn't have said that," or Are
there not other actors doing interviews? Episode 9.
I haven't. I doubt you'll see Gina Carano doing any interviews, but Pedro Pascal, I'm surprised they haven't put him out there yet. Maybe he'll do like the late night tours via the Zoom calls or something like that.
Closer.
I mean,
and they'll bring Baby
Giancarlo
Yoda in, and whatever they gotta do. Yeah.
Is he just doing these interviews because like of other things that he's?
Well, he was nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah, I think the Emmy thing, and then
I remember he was doing Far Cry 5, right?
Yeah, and
whatever number they're on. I thought it was 5.
Is he still involved with like Better Call Saul? Is that still a show? Is that still going on? I don't even know.
I don't know. I think he is though.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe he's just like, because he's kind of that actor that isn't like the main actor, he's kind of got his foot in a lot of different properties, so he's involved in a couple different interviews. So
that's a good point. It's like when Ewan McGregor, like before the announcement of Kenobi, anytime he did anything, he would get the Kenobi question.
So would you want to play Kenobi again?
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah, would that at all be interesting to you? He's like, oh my god, kill me.
Catherine, right. Can I just tell that?
Okay, so the next story we got here is another hint. I don't know. I don't know if I want to even say this like kind of spoilery. I wouldn't really go down that route because it's kind of a leak. It's kind of, it is what it is. But we have maybe the potential of another hint that Tamara Morrison is actually going to be playing Boba Fett in The Mandalorian, whether that's season 2, season 3, or I guess it would be season 2. But the main idea behind this is that there is a New Zealand casting website that is pretty well known for
Australian.
It's Australian?
Yeah.
He's New Zealand, but it's from Australia. Yeah. Okay. That puts that kind of connects actors and productions and things like that. And for his particular profile, his most recent work is playing the character Boba Fett in a show called The Mandalorian, season 2 specifically. So whether or not that's true, it's accurate, is always up to, I guess like your own speculation, because there are plenty of official websites like IMDb that tend to run, things that look very official but are, inserted wrong, or placeholders for other things, whatever. this is there. It exists. So what do you think the possibility this is accurate, John? Do you want to see him come back for season 2?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if any of us are the biggest Boba Fett fans, but I'd like to see it. And a lot of people are saying, oh, they should get who's
Daniel Logan?
Yeah, thank you. They should get Daniel Logan to play Boba Fett. It's like, the only person who can canonically play an adult Boba Fett is Tamira Morrison, because a clone is a copy of the original person, and Boba Fett
what?
But yes, right. Remember, people were like, "Oh, maybe this person's a clone of Palpatine." It's like they'd have to look exactly like Chief Palpatine. But yeah, Boba is an unaltered, direct clone of Jango Fett. Now, they would have to do some age issues because he would have to only be in his 40s, and Tamaro is 60, I think. But I don't even think we may not even see him with his helmet off, or they could de-age him 10 years or whatever they need to do. But
or it's just his voice, and it's a completely different actor. It could just be his voice,
and then they could use him in other voices as well, as we know. If the other people surface who may or may not be rumored to show up. But I'd be down to see the return of the Fett. Why not, right? A different little jilted Boba Fett who's missing his armor. And, we hear rumors about other people who may be stealing his armor. There's a lot of potential stories that could be told. And that could be a new, interesting way of opening up the humanization of Boba Fett. Whereas in the original trilogy, he was pretty much an action figure with a couple of lines, and you hit the button and he talks and he just does these things. There was no human element to Boba Fett. In the prequels, you get a little bit of that. The kid, was a little bit, Daniel Logan was a little wooden with the acting. I can't really blame him for that. But I think now you could really see an older Boba Fett who's kind of, up against it, and he's down on his luck. And that could be an interesting layer added to that character to make maybe even someone like me adorn myself to him. So I'd be down with that more than other rumored people who may be appearing in the show, especially because he has the ties with the Mandalorian armor. He really is the first Mandalorian by non-canon tradition. That's what Mandalorians were based on, the look of Boba Fett, who was the first one to arrive in the holiday special, of course, back in the day. So, yeah, I think this could be cool. But again, as I wrote in the article, these sites, while I believe they're very valid, they're kind of like an IMDb where there can be some false credits and stuff in there. So until we see him on screen or anything like that, we got to, take it easy and not assume that this means he's in. Because I know a lot of headlines and stuff said this confirms it, or this confirms that Boba Fett's in the show. To me, it doesn't, but that's just my assessment on it.
Lacey, do you believe it?
I don't know. I tend to look at everything online until I see it as like a rumor. If he's in it, great. If he's not, okay. Boba Fett doesn't really do anything for me. But I'm pumped for all the people that really do love him, that will get to see him in the show. That'll be great. But I mean, John kind of covered everything there of all the ins and outs of the story of he might be in the show.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So let's put it this way: if this is correct, his listing also says Boba Fett, not Boba Fett / Captain Rex or something like that. So this also, if this is in fact true, then you probably are not getting him as Rex.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know.
Yeah, I just go back to the article with Entertainment Weekly where Gina Carano said some are true, some are not. So this might be one of those ones that's true, and then Captain Rex is the one that's not. And
unless he could voice Captain Rex for a brief period and not be credited for it because they don't want to pay him for a dual role. So that type of thing maybe wouldn't appear on this type of thing because it's not an official credited role. Like, what if Captain Rex rolls up with 1 or 2 lines and they're like, well, we're not paying you for that as an acting credit, So there's a lot of things that come into play here, but we're so close to it coming out.
It surprises me that, more people aren't open to the idea of Boba Fett. They're like, whatever, but they love The Mandalorian. I'm like, The Mandalorian basically is Boba Fett.
Are you saying me? Because that's what I just said.
I know, yeah, but I'm kind of like coming off of that. I'm like, I feel like it's hard to be like, I'm not the biggest Boba Fett fan. And I'm like, well, if you like The Mandalorian, then you probably are a big Boba Fett fan. You just haven't seen him, do it yet.
But they're
I
different
don't know if I
people.
agree with that, because they're different people. They have different personalities, different situations, different stories. You can like one and not the other. People like one trooper and not the other trooper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. All right. Well, I don't know. In my personal opinion,
Do you think he's in the show?
I think he's probably in the show. Yeah, I mean, I didn't follow up on this website to like really dive through and try to figure it out, but I just feel like the only thing that surprises me about that listing is the fact that it hasn't been taken down.
What's the
I feel like somebody says that, then someone at Disney is like, yo, no, do not list that. That is part of our plot. That is part of our release.
What's it called?
Right.
Showcast.com?
I think so.
Showcast.com.
And I don't know. I mean, I think that it probably is true, but I imagine that it's probably, maybe it is something so simple as far as like he voiced lines and, that's about all that it is. And so Disney isn't really that worried about it. They already kind of hinted that Boba Fett's in the show. Fans have already kind of put that together. And then it's just a couple lines. So of course it would be him if it was anybody. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Are you looking something up, John?
Yeah. I'm going to look up Matt Smith to see if they credit him as Palpatine on Showcast.com. I really was. But you know what's funny? It's showcast.com.au. And I typed in showcast.com and it took me to some site to download a Flash player. And I think I just gave my computer a crippling virus.
Oh, it's like streaming Showtime.
I'm screwed.
Showcast.
Yeah. They're like, click here to see the largest baby ever born. I'm like, what? What is this? I'll get back on the Matt Smith thing, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if he would be on that. What is he Australian?
At this point, he might as well be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I don't think there's anything more to say to this. Lacey, you have anything extra to add? No.
Boba Fett's overrated.
Boba Fett's overrated.
How about that?
Well, we can get to these other stories
I love
that
the
we
Mandalorian.
might. Yeah, John, you can pop back in if you want to later. ILM last week featured a video that was kind of a mini documentary, if you will, on creating the Razor Crest for the Mandalorian. Very, very cool video. Just really kind of broke down all the ins and outs of how this process went down, including, and I felt really special when I was watching it because they were like, well, we got the news that we wanted to show some clips at Celebration. They showed like clips of Jon Favreau introducing it and stuff, and I was like, I was there.
I bet if you pause it, you could see
felt like really
the
cool.
back of Lacey's head.
Oh.
So if anyone out there can find that video, if you can successfully locate Lacey Gilleran's head,
Just look for the big thing of popcorn.
in the video, you're the winner, and you win absolutely nothing. But you're the one. We've been giving away a lot of stuff. Okay,
Absolutely nothing.
you win nothing, but you're the best at the Where's Lacey instead of Where's Waldo. Where's Lacey?
Lacey, did we learn anything new with this video? I think
I absolutely loved this video. I think it's my favorite story of the week in our show today. It was about 17 minutes long, and I was just tuned in the whole time. I loved every single interview, every single clip, the whole process. I loved seeing all these people talk about how they joined ILM and Lucasfilm in the 80s for building models and stuff.
I like Doug Chang's earring.
And they're talking about the process of doing all this stuff in CG now, and they didn't have that back then, the capabilities. So they did models, and then now they're coming back now and they're like, wait, do we still remember how to do this? And then you have John Knoll is like, let me go into my shop and just make some track. Like, He has nothing more important to be doing right now. He's like, nah, I got this. So it shows him with his little workshop apron on. It was so fun. And then I love how they have their own miniature department, like the Mandalorian miniatures unit. I want a shirt with that on it, like so bad. And yeah, James, I agree. It was just super, super cool to see them be like, so this is really great, which I get this at work sometimes. I'm sure other people too. It's like, this is really great. We want to show this to everyone now, even though it's not done. So if you can just render this out, we can just show it. And you're like, what? We need like 5 weeks. And they're like, you have 2. And the fact that they were so pumped to show it at Celebration to fans kind of made me feel great as a Star Wars fan, because you're like, here they are working their butts off just to show us this clip because they're so proud of it. And it just is very interesting that they're like, yeah, Favreau loved it. So then he was like, okay, so I need this clip for Celebration, which goes back to what we were saying, is like he really didn't want to show a lot. So I think this was something that he could show that wasn't giving anything away. It was just the ship itself.
Yeah, it was more about the theme of like, this is how we're doing things.
Right,
over
we're
here.
doing it old school, yeah. But it was cool to see like all the people that came through. Like you see a lot of clips of Kathleen Kennedy going through and looking at the ship and the way it moved and how they built their own rigs that made specific movements. I think the coolest thing out of all the technology that they built was when they needed the ship, which of course they're like, Jon Favreau wants it to be this shiny aluminum, and they're like, that shows everything and is kind of hard to light if it's not in space, because space you have certain lights. But when they built the little tent out of foam core that they then projected images up onto, and then they had the ship inside of that, so that's what they were shooting in. And they said that it looks so cool that you can't really tell what's the CG and what's the model, because they actually took images of the model and then used that for the CG. So it was just kind of cool, because usually it goes the other way, but this way they're like, no, we went physical to CG. Overall, I just loved it. I got to go back and watch it again. It was just that good.
That particular thing reminded me of the Galaxy's Edge Millennium Falcon, when they were like, this is officially the real Falcon, and from now on, anytime it's ever used in any sort of like computer generated fashion, this will be the official model for it.
I liked being reminded of the only reason Favreau had them make the miniature so that he can keep it.
I knew you were gonna bring that
from
up,
gallery.
so
like
funny.
I forgot about that.
He name drops Del Toro. He's like, Del Toro told me once that if you make a model.
Back when I was hanging out with my friend,
my buddy
Del Toro,
my buddy Guillermo. We were down at the food truck when I was getting inspiration for my movie Chef, and we were talking about these miniature ships. No, but was that the panel, Lacey? I don't know if you would know because you were up front, but James. Was that the panel where we saw Doug Chang getting escorted out because they didn't think he belonged there?
I believe it was, yes.
It's amazing.
And he's in the video.
he's the guy who's the reason for the video, and they were escorting him out because they didn't think he belonged there.
How embarrassing. If I still worked there, you
and he was so polite to them that he's like, okay, you can walk me out. I won't embarrass you in front of all these people. I'll talk to you in the hallway. And then we see him walk back out.
I mean, that kind of stuff happens all the time. I know like nobody wants to see that, but like as like when I was in the band, like that happened to me. Like I'm allowed through here. This is my show. That I'm supposed to be on stage. I got out in the crowd. The security guard pulled me off, and they're like, "Get out of here, kid!" And it's like, I'm in the band. I'm currently performing. Let me back on stage. Like, I know what you're trying to do, but
and said I'm in the band, and they're like, okay, and they let him through, and then.
Yeah, maybe.
They're not in the band.
I mean, it's all about confidence, really. But in this particular case, I think it was just a confusion. He's like, how do I get over there? And they're like, well, you need a pass. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Nobody gave me a pass. So
I'm going to go to the next,
You'd be amazed at these events how many people just like either act like they're supposed to be somewhere and get by a bunch of security guards or just lie their way to get in.
Yeah, I it's all about confidence. Like if you're just like, you know where you're going, like you just can walk past people.
I was that person that would crush dreams. And just be like, you can't be here.
I'm gonna go to the next, like when
that makes sense.
Music festivals start again. I'm gonna go to like the next Blink-182 concert and be like, I'm the guitar player. I'm back, and it's my time to take the stage.
He's not in the band anymore.
I know, but I'm the new guy. I'm the new Tom.
Oh, gotcha.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The new Tom is the guy from Alkaline Trio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Marvel released Vader #5, and it has Vader visiting Padme's tomb and learning a little bit more about her demise. Anything you guys want to say about this one? Because I just kind of was like, yeah, I mean, this is the typical stuff out of the Vader comics. Not good or bad. It's just it is what it is.
No good.
No good. You didn't like it?
No good.
Is this the one where they think that Anakin was killed by Darth Vader? Like, that's part of it, is like they blame Anakin and Darth Vader for Padme's death, but then they also say that Darth Vader killed Anakin.
This is following that the clickbait inducing tease that he sees Padme, but it's really Sabe. And now she accompanies him, which I find weird. Mm-hmm. Like, that is so weird. I'm sorry that Darth Vader is taking a handmaiden from Padme and going to search out what happened, and then he gets tormented by Kenobi. It's almost like a Maul story, a Darth Maul story that they gave to Darth Vader with the Kenobi torture. But I don't like this. I don't like this tormented Vader thing, and he's conflicted. Like, I get that once he encounters Luke, but I do not like the over emoing of Darth Vader that they've been doing in the comics. It downplays Vader the villain. You don't need to beat us over the head that this guy had conflicts in his life and his choices and regrets and all that stuff. Like, it's like in the Jaws movie, when in the sequels, when you see the shark 90% of the frames of the movie, as opposed to in the first movie you see it for like 8 minutes. Less is more sometimes, and I don't need this. I'm not trying to slam the writers. I would sign up to write a Darth Vader book too. And how much can you write about Darth Vader without diving into the psychological aspect of it? I get it, but man, if I wrote a Vader book, it'd be all evil Vader, and I think that's the Vader we need more than this.
Rogue One Vader.
Yeah, I get the artistic aspect of it and going for the psych element, but that it's not for me. I know a lot of people who really dig that, and they like the idea of, when Vader's not in front of people, he's tortured and he's in his chamber and he's having visions and Palpatine's preying on that. I get it. Trust me, it's not over my head, but it ain't my thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I could go either way on how they handle it. I mean, I understand your point of view. Like, you don't get to that point until you get to Luke. But also, I'm okay with the way that they do it, because generally with all of these stories where they showcase his weaker points, he always comes back at the end and he's like, but that was in the past. And he starts chopping people's heads off. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, you kind of understand that Vader from the outside and what people see is it's this thing, and that is ultimately what he has decided he wants to be, no matter what goes on in your head, because sometimes you just can't get rid of what you're thinking or what pops up in your head. And if you have to get into someone's internal thoughts, you're probably going to get into how he's thinking about these things that happened, but then he just squashes them. He just squashes the memory and says, forget it. That's not me anymore. I don't care about that stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. I understand where you're coming from. Solo composer John Powell announces new extended deluxe edition of his score. So long story short, if you got the soundtrack to Solo and you were like, wait a minute, this soundtrack's only 30 minutes long. Where the heck did all the songs go? Where is the Duel of Fates little thing at the end? This is the long version. It will include a couple side tracks, a full version of Chicken in the Pot and other stuff like that. But long story short, it is the beginning to end version of the Solo score, and it will have all those things that John Powell worked on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically it. Lacey, anything to add to this? You said you seem excited about Chicken in the Pot.
I want the green guy. He wasn't really in the version that they have on Spotify right now. The voice that they have in the movie. Yeah. I want it. I have said on record before, if you guys watch the show regularly. I know you hate it. I love it.
I don't hate it. Just the one with the high-pitched voice is better musically. I like it. It appeals to me better. And then when I got in the movie, I was like, oh, his voice is low. I don't know why they did that.
I think it was originally low, and then they made it higher after the fact. Because the character...
I think the other way around.
No, because the character is named after a guy that has a lower voice, in real life. He's named after Louis Prima, the singer, who has a lower voice.
that could, I mean,
can we celebrate the fact that John Powell liberally uses Make Solo 2 Happen in all of his
He
posts?
uses it all the time. I love it.
He announces this deluxe version of the Solo soundtrack and uses Make Solo 2 Happen in that.
Disney's like, John, come on.
And you know what? I know, right? But
I don't know why they wouldn't, though. Like, why would Disney be mad that
no, I don't think
they don't
we're
care.
promoting
I'm
making
just
sequels?
Poking fun that someone at Disney's like,
you gotta think though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this means anything because it really doesn't, but the fact that they're making the effort to release a new edition of a product from Solo is not a bad sign. I think that's very cool that they're starting to pick up on that fans really do like this movie, and I think this is not. There's going to be more of this. I
honestly think fans that were unhappy with The Last Jedi and fans that were unhappy with The Rise of Skywalker can both fall back on that they liked Solo and it was underappreciated. And I think I'm seeing more of that now.
They're releasing... I've never heard of this. At least I could be wrong. I know there's been different versions of the John Williams stuff, but releasing a deluxe extended edition of a score... I don't remember that happening with any of the recent movies anyway. So I find
Put it
this
on vinyl.
I find this interesting. I would buy a vinyl. I mean, I'm
Sure
going to
will.
listen to it on Spotify, of course, because I have the Spotify premium subscription. But
Did you see that vinyl recently broke? It made more money than CDs.
that makes sense.
Really?
Yeah, because people
Yeah,
buy it
recently.
more for
That's
the
cool.
art and the collective classic element
It
of it.
sounds
But
better.
I don't know. I think this is great. Yeah.
There is I've always wondered this too, because like I like that scene in Return of the Jedi where they pass the stairs and it's Luke and Darth and they're fighting. There's a particular movement of music there, and if you go to the like official soundtrack that's on like Apple Music and I'm sure every other one, Spotify, Amazon, all those, it's got to be like the same CD or whatever, but it's not on there. That piece of music does not exist. And so I'm like, well, where do you get that? And it's been a little while. And then I thought the same thing when Solo came out too. I was like, where's the Duel of Fates thing? It's got to be here somewhere. And it isn't. It isn't on the soundtrack. So when they announced this, I was like, yeah. Like, why don't all movies have this? I'm torn. I'm not sure what is going on and why specifically Solo would get this, other than potentially maybe it's a John Powell thing. Maybe John Powell wrote it into his contract that like, hey, it is what it is. Because Giacchino did that too. He was unable to do what he does with all of his scores, and then later he had to like kind of privately rename all the tracks. How he would have named them if he had full rights to it or whatever. But maybe this is, like I said, a John Powell thing where like it was written into the contract that, hey, I'm going to write all this music, but when all's said and done, at some point we're going to release the full version of all of my work. I don't know.
He's got a really good Instagram, by the way. So make sure to check it out. And on Make Solo 2 Happen Day, he did tweet about Make Solo 2 Happen. So
yeah,
very good.
Very last thing to talk about here real quick is that Mando Mondays was officially announced by Shop. What is it? Disney.shop or Shop Disney.
Give us money.disney.cash. I think is the
Buy all
basically.
the Baby Yodas.
Yeah, so in accordance with the new episodes as they drop, the following Monday will be a new set of merchandise that you can purchase that is potentially related to that episode. So you see a new character in episode 3. Maybe they announce his like pop figure like that following Monday or something along those lines. I don't know.
Like gift shop after the ride thing.
Yeah, basically.
Thanks for enjoying Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian. Make your exit through the gift shop and buy all the things you just saw on the ride.
Very Disney.
We didn't talk about that, but Mandalorian is apparently making first episode of season 2, chapter 9.
Yeah, which I think
so
we
picks up right
speculated
after.
that would be the case, right?
It could very well have. All right. Unless Lacey has anything else to add on Mando Mondays, that's it for the news, and we're going to be heading into the Patreon pod race.
I don't know what I'm going to buy yet before everyone asks me. I don't know. But I will probably buy a lot of stuff. But I did make the joke that Mando Monday should just be hot pictures of The Mandalorian. So I'll be celebrating that every Monday.
What's a hot picture of The Mandalorian?
Just him being hot.
In his full armor?
Yeah.
No, it's like him like with a handkerchief, like wiping his helmet.
Hot, like strutting. Just
so
hot.
is Boba Fett hot then?
No.
All right.
All right. It's time for the Patreon pod race. This is the segment where we bring in some people from our Patreon. So there are tons of ways that you can support us. You can like, comment, subscribe to YouTube and comment on this video. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. You can follow us on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. Or if you want more than that, including exclusive content, mailings, Discord servers, and much more, you can head over to patreon.com/resistancebroadcast. And we have different tiers starting at $2. And you can go all the way up to the top. And as you move up in the ranks, you get more access and more cool stuff literally every day at this point. I post too much. Anyway. All right. So before we get started, this segment is specifically for our generals, which is our top tier, and it's a chance for them to be a part of the show. So first, I want to say thank you to our generals. So thank you to Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neel Shah, David Probus, John Risi, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Bethany, Russ Harbison, and Kendall Gelner. Thank you guys so much for your support. It means so much to us.
Yes.
This week is a rotating slot. So we're getting someone different in. We have General David, a.k.a. General Graybeard.
That's him.
Of the Beard Squadron.
The Beard Squadron. Him, and then there's just General Beard.
Yeah, of the Resistance Broadcast. Our Beard
So confusing.
Squadron. All right, so the question was, what do you hope to see most in Season 2 of The Mandalorian? So, David, take it away.
What's up, TRB? It's David Probus, a.k.a. General Graybeard here with my buddy Tiny. Say hi, Tiny. Hi, Tiny. So sarcastic. Anyway, so let's talk Mando. I think the thing that I'm most excited for Mando is Moff Gideon. I'm intrigued by that character. I just love how ruthless he is, and we only got to see him for a little bit, and so I really want to just explore who he is, how he got the Darksaber, how he ties into this whole thing, and I love Giancarlo Esposito. I think he's just an awesome actor. Dude plays an awesome bad guy. So that's my take on it. Okay, Tiny. Okay, I'll tell him. Tiny says make Solo 2 happen. See y'all later. Say bye, Tiny. Bye.
Nice job, David. I loved your Baby Yoda. Obvi. John, what did you think of his answer?
You mean Tiny, Lacey?
Tiny.
I've given up.
I've given up.
Yeah, I mean, you know what my answer is. Moff Gideon is my guy. I'm all in on Gideon for Season 2. I'm giddy for Gideon, as they would say.
What?
Giddy up.
They being nobody.
Yeah. No, but I agree with you, David. More Moff Gideon. Giancarlo Esposito is great. I feel like we're on the same page with that. So great answers and great use of supporting cast there. Very popular little character that you got there with you. So thanks for doing that. Great job, man. See you on the next rotating slot. And of course, I'll see you on the Patreon Admirals and Generals call, which is Thursday.
Next Thursday, the 1st. James?
I think I'm with you here too. I think we're probably going to talk a little bit more on Thursday about, Moff Gideon and the villain aspect of it. But yeah, I think that's kind of what we all are hoping to see. I don't know if Lacey shares the same opinion, but I definitely love that Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Love that Tiny.
Give me all the bad guys. I love the bad guys. Good job, David. I love your Baby Yoda.
Yep, thank you.
AKA... what?
I said thank you.
Oh, I thought you were saying thank you to me.
No.
Thank you.
I was really confused. Anyway, sorry. Going off the rails here. Great answer, David. But now you've made it so that you have to do every video with Baby Yoda. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Now
Facts.
we're going to go. Stop. We're going to go to John to hear from other people from the TRB community. John?
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
It's time for Ask the Resistance.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Okay, you submitted your questions on Twitter. We usually ask for them and you pop them in the replies, or anytime you want to ask one, you could just use hashtag #AskTheResistance. I'll click on that hashtag, find it, and we'll get you on the show and we'll talk about them. So thanks to everyone who has been submitting them. Really adds to the show. It sometimes sparks things that we never even thought about discussing, so we really appreciate that. This week we have a good slate here. We'll start off with Andrew Staley, one of our generals on Patreon. What's up, Andrew? At Deuce_Staley. Big Rey fan, so this is not a surprise here. He asked, had Rey been a Kenobi, do you think that would have diminished some of the negativity towards Rey and the sequel trilogy? Lacey, I know you wanted Rey Kenobi, so what do you think?
I did. Hey, Andrew. Hope you're doing well. You're the best. Great question. I think it's kind of a two-parter here in the sense of if Rey was a Kenobi, I think it would have made things a little bit better, only because then it seems like there was some semblance of a plan from TFA to the end. I think we've seen a lot of evidence that there wasn't really a plan and it was kind of just going with each movie, which happens in movie making. I get it. You know, Rian Johnson kind of threw everything out with Rey as a nobody, and that kind of feeds into my second part of my answer, which is a lot of people really liked Rey nobody. I know I was a real big fan of it because it meant that like anybody could be a Jedi, anybody can do the right thing, anybody can have that power to really make a difference in the galaxy. So once that decision was made, I really connected with that. So then to go back and be like, no, she's actually related to this person, it was just a little confusing. So I don't know if it would make fandom appreciate the sequel trilogy more. In the sense that I feel like people are always going to have opinions. But for me personally, I would have loved to see Rey be a Kenobi because then you're connecting the Skywalkers with the Kenobis again, like with the prequels. And it kind of brings all the movies together in a way that I personally really liked. So that's my answer.
Right on. Very good. All right. Next up, James, this one's going to go your way. This is from R2 Katie at R2 Katie. She actually builds pink R2-D2 units in honor of a girl who passed away from cancer. So this is a really a good thing that she does here, and we appreciate her submitting a question to TRB. Thanks, Katie. So Katie asked, do you think there will be a funny, friendly droid in the Mandalorian's future, or would that be too perfect? So I guess she means in Din Djarin's future, like kind of like a...
Yeah, I think leaning towards that too perfect because just I do think it's going to happen. I think they need some sort of levity because we recently did our Patreon like Resistance officers access to the what do you call it? Commentary on season 1, episode 1, and we got to relive IG-11 and just how funny that character actually is.
Oh my God.
And I think that's a huge aspect to The Mandalorian that often gets overlooked because we think about the gunslinger and how cool it is and Baby Yoda and stuff like that. But there is definitely this like laugh out loud fun that you have with the show. And now that IG-11 is gone, I don't know if they will... They won't do this because it's too close, obviously, to Baby Yoda. But like the Baby Groot thing, like maybe it's not IG-11, but they brought him back somehow. I don't know. I mean, there's always some sort of possibility, but I do think that whether. I mean, I would imagine they would probably do a droid, but it could very well just be a new comic relief alien or some new character to bring in because they have to fill that gap, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Good answer there. And thank you, Katie. All right, next one. Geeky Gator Crocodile at the _ Geeky Gator. What is going on? Are you from... What was that? Florida? New Orleans?
What is that? Florida with all
Who's got the Gators?
Gators?
Is it Florida?
Florida.
Florida.
Like the Everglades, right?
Florida.
Yeah, Everglades is part of Florida, and that's where all the Gators are. Yeah. All right. Maybe he's like, I'm from Boston. I just like Gators. All right, Geeky Gator, here's the deal. You're asking, with Liam Neeson's recent compliments towards the prequel trilogy, what are some of your favorite aspects of the 3 films? Mine would have to be the lightsaber fights and seeing a full Jedi Order. I aside from the fight between Maul, Kenobi, and Qui-Gon, I don't like the Qui-Gon Jinn. I do not like the lightsaber fights in the prequel trilogy. Besides that one, I actually think they were a little too dance based. So I'm going to disagree with you there. But I think, and this may be an odd answer, my favorite part of the prequel trilogy is the overall story itself. I think George Lucas told a really great cohesive story in terms of how Palpatine came into power and how Anakin fell and that whole deal. I don't know that he executed it as well as he could have had he brought in better scriptwriters. I think Lawrence Kasdan could have done a heck of a job nailing home some scripts for him. As J.W. Rinsler said, maybe bring in some other writers and some other directors, but George wanted to do his thing and do everything, and that's okay. He's George Lucas. It's his story, right? So I think my favorite part overall of the prequel trilogy is the overall story itself, the big picture. And then in terms of like anything else from the 3 movies as a collective, I don't know. I guess just the fact that it's George Lucas's last gift to us as Star Wars fans from a movie perspective. I think that's something that we have to appreciate because he's not coming back to do anymore. So obviously he did the Clone Wars stuff with Filoni, but he's taking over Cassian was the latest rumor. But yeah, I think the overall story, what George Lucas has always been such a great storyteller. His stories with Indiana Jones and everything. So I think that's got to be my favorite part of it. So I hope that's a good enough answer for you. All right, one more, guys. We're gonna do this, the 3 of us together. From Andre, because I had this on the notes for last week and we went way over last week, so we're going to nail this one out now. Andre Rios at OnRios725. Do you think at some point we might see Force Ghost Yoda communicating anyway with Baby Yoda? He said, I can't see it happening yet, but I feel like at some point a connection might appear. So what do you guys think? Lacey, why don't you start with this one?
Hey, Andre. How's it going? I'm going to say yes, because I like Yoda and I want to see it happen.
Yeah, that's a good answer right there, James.
No, because Yoda's dead.
Force Ghost Yoda, man.
Nah.
I want to see it. I think that's a fan service thing that works versus a Luke Skywalker appearance. Like seeing Yoda communicate with another one of his species would make sense to me, especially if he's clearly another Force-sensitive being. So I would love to see it. And, how much more are we going to get of Frank Oz doing Yoda? And that'd be an opportunity to do it. So you got to love that. And bringing back the puppet, too. Like, you got to do that.
Which they've already made for The Last Jedi. That puppet's sitting in a box somewhere.
Yeah, they're not throwing it in the trash bin like they did after Empire or Return of the Jedi. So I don't know. I would love to see it. I don't know if they will, but I think it could be a very special scene, especially knowing how Favreau tells stories. So,
Sure.
What, James?
Sure.
Oh. All right, so that's it. Thanks for all your questions. Again, if you want to submit them, Twitter at RBATSWNN, or just use the hashtag Ask the Resistance, or you can email us resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. If you're a little shy, you're not a social media person, good for you. But that takes us to the end of the show. So I want to thank everybody for listening and watching, being a part of TRB. A lot of people said they recently found us through recommended videos on YouTube. So is YouTube actually showing us to people?
Whoa!
Is that actually happening now? So if this is
there's no way.
If this is your first time watching us on YouTube, welcome. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. We have 2 episodes every week, Mondays and Thursdays, and coming up in about a month, the Mando Fan Show on Fridays here on the YouTube channel. But also you can find us on audio. That's really where most of our audience still is, actually. So Spotify, Podbean, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you like your audio podcast. Oh, also now Amazon Music too. So anywhere you prefer to get your podcasts, follow us or subscribe to us there. It's free, and get your episodes from us there. Make sure you're going to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and a lot of good stuff. Teespring.com/stores/Resistance Broadcast. There should be some pins still available for Make Solo 2 Happen, I hope. I don't know what's going on with that. We have a limited supply of those, so grab your Make Solo 2 Happen pin, your Make Solo 2 Happen merch, and all of our designs over there, including the Mando fan show, which, like I just said, is coming back October 30th. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, tweeting weird things. The later the night gets, the more abstract my thoughts get, so that's where to really get entertained by me, I guess. And StarWarsNewsNet.com. James,
it's Monday morning, John. I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
For me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MeyerTrunks, and at my home hanging up my special Mandalorian Season 2 Japanese poster. Actually, I don't know if it's Japanese, but it's some foreign language.
It's
and
Japanese.
It looked really cool. I'm pretty sure it is Japanese because it was from the Star Wars whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, I loved the poster, so I bought it like immediately.
Very cool. Right on. Lacey?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran, and get ready and make sure you're tuned to Star Wars Newsnet on Thursday, because I'm chatting with the people from Hasbro and I'm getting down to why they haven't made a Rey Skywalker lightsaber yet. I'm asking
hopefully
it.
they answer
It's
that.
happening. Let's see what the answer is.
Let's find the truth.
Yeah. And Ben Solo merch, obvi.
Right.
I want to believe.
So we will be back with everyone on Thursday, where we're going to discuss whether or not, finally, is he the chosen one? Is Moff Gideon going to solve the Star Wars villain problem? We're going to have a good time discussing that, and of course more other fun topics, as we always do, right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.
Bye.